All right, welcome back. So today, got the Sledge on the bench. It's time to tear the thing down, fix the bend we got in the chassis. So I'll show you guys how to go ahead and do that. And then it's time for a little servicing. So in talking with Traxxas reps, which I'll link the conversation now. As you can see, they're saying basically they want to make sure that there's no seize bearings anywhere. They're not asking to check diffs. They just want to make sure that the nuts and screws aren't coming loose, which we do have some screws that are loose. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We're going to make sure none of the bearings are seized. So I am going to have to tear a lot of this apart, just because I do have a bend in the chassis. So I'm definitely going to have to get this front section off so that I can get to that. Plus I got some steering links that are loose. So I'll probably want to get that stuff done. So the first thing I'm going to do is get the wheels out of the way so I'm not fumbling around with the RC on the bench. Like I said, I'm 7 battery packs into this thing now, and I haven't been nice to it. So this is something, you know, that you should be doing. A lot of us don't do. I know I keep my RCs clean, and I do check for loose screws. I don't really check for bearings, I guess you would say. Man, that thing is on there. I don't really check for bearings until I start taking stuff apart, like wheels and stuff like that. We have run across X-Max bearings that are bad inside the motors, especially with that I want to say new round of 8S line of the X-Maxes that came out. RC Guy Garage got a set of those. As you can tell, we are pretty squeaky, and that's due mainly to the shocks and the joints in here for the pins. Sounds like mainly right around the shock area. So I think first thing I want to try to do is get this bend out of there. I do have some parts showing up tomorrow for this. I have parts showing up tomorrow, Wednesday or Thursday. So next week I got a bunch of stuff coming for this. I do have front and rear diff gears, the hardened gears, the upgraded gears coming for it. There is an optional hardware kit for the motor, and then I got the optional spur and pinion coming for this. So all the optional parts for the gearing, I went ahead and ordered everything for it. Not sure what the hardware is about for the motor. It's on the last page of the manual. It basically, there's some motor screws that go into this, and they're optional screws, and I don't know what they're for. They just say optional. So I ordered all the optional components that Traxxas is saying, you know, you might want to upgrade. So let's take a look at this and see. Bolt there. Just going to remove this center brace. The screws are the same. Want to move the zip tie I have here for my jumper, because I do have a jumper on that ESC because I changed out these connections. So we're going to get this brace out of here. Just going to inspect the brace for any kind of damage or debris. There is some rock hits I can feel on the top of this thing. But other than that, this T-bar brace looking pretty straight. Not bad. Alright, so what I want to do is get this whole front diff thing out. So I think what we'll do is we're going to start by probably cleaning out all these screw holes since they're impacted with dirt. Right in this bumper deal here. Alright, now that we got some of that dirt out, I'll start by taking out these screws here. I'm going to place them off to the side kind of in the order. That one's really long. So the one in the middle is super long, which I believe that's the one that goes into the diff. And there's two on the front here. So this thing is two pieces that slips together, which is pretty cool. We saw that crack that was all the way around. So it's nice that you can replace these things in pieces. They'll probably come as a kit like this anyway. So our bend is right here. So I think the next thing we have to go after is 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm just laying it out right next to it in the order I'm taking it out. So I know where the screws go. Because I use a drill, I tend to go pretty fast. And I do notice that there are Loctite on the two screws that go into the steering, which is good to see. There is blue Loctite on those screws. So that's something good to see. Let's see. These I think are for the box. Oh. So I did get all those screws. I just got to get the screw for the steering servo. So that's relatively easy to come all off, and the diff is sealed from the bottom. It's not open like the Arma, and you can see the ring gear right there. So I imagine if you hit hard enough on the chassis, there is a groove cut out. There's a groove cut out right here on the chassis, and if you impact that area, you can shatter the diff that way, that gear. So right here is where we got our bend. Right there, it's just a slight bend. I'm going to go ahead and grab a hammer. Be right back. Alright, the table's probably going to shake a little bit, but I got a block of wood. I like to do this on a vise, but can't film it there. So our impact is now back to normal. It's not twisted. So the droop from just that corner is gone now. 3-pound chassis adjustment tool. That's what that is. So we've got that fixed up. A lot of slop in that pinion deal. Making sure that screw is good. And the steering, is that a bearing? Looks like it's got bearings here. So there are bearings in this steering, which is nice. But I know we have some loose rod ends. So this one's kind of loose. So we're going to check some of this stuff. Yeah, see, that's awfully loose. So everything with the steering was pretty loose. So that's tight. That's tight, so they didn't loosen up this time. The shocks. With this assembly off, it's easy to get to it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply a little light grease to this. Actually, it's greased pretty well, so I'm going to leave it alone because we are going to change it here soon, when end of next week, but I want to run it till then. So I'm going to clean up this assembly while it's off. So the back of this motor has got a bearing that's exposed there as well. So we'll take a look at that. We'll try spinning that. That seems pretty smooth. Our mesh is looking pretty good. It looks like it might got a little loose because it's riding on the tip of that. So I'm going to probably loosen up the motor and see if I can get that mesh a little better while I could see it. Let's, we should probably pop off the center diff and take a look at that while we're this far into it, right? So as you see, the chassis was a nice, easy fix. For as bad as I beat that thing up, hitting those rocks. So it looks like these 4 screws are all the same size. So the lid came out with the diff. That's how easy the diff came out. We're going to give this a feel. See, that center diff is really tight. And then there we go, it loosened up. That's that 20 million. And that's a pretty good stiffness in there. I know that they're half full. And you can also see where the rocks have been grinding on the outside of this housing. That's that noise of rocks getting in there. And because it's traveling forward mainly, it's not grabbing on those lips, and it's literally grinding the case here. And that's rock sneaking by. And the chassis shows right in here. You can see that rocks got in there and it ground on the bottom of the chassis right here. So rocks can still get past. So it might be wise to tape up that hole at the bottom with some Gorilla Tape. I'll probably do that. As this thing sits in here, let's see if we can get this thing to pop in. Oh. So this area right here is exposed. And it's not exposed to the gear, it's exposed to this housing. And when this thing is spinning, if a rock's stuck right here, it's literally grinding against the diff, the center diff housing, chewing it up. But bearings feel really good on this. These sealed bearings, they're keeping out the dirt and the grime. Pretty impressive. And kind of wish this is metal. I'm sure they're going to have a metal upgrade for this thing soon, this guard and this holder. But as you see, it's literally doing really well. The rear diff, or the rear drive shaft, has got marks all over it from, looks like rocks being jammed up in there. So what happens is, these were the rocks I was hearing, literally eating around that center drive shaft. But the rear diff is still feeling smooth. Oh. Definitely feeling smooth. So not too bad. For what I put this thing through, I think it's doing pretty good. I don't see any major damage. We did have this bend up a little bit, which it's perfectly straight now. Front of the chassis has been taking pretty good impacts and not twisting, which I'm impressed about that. I might change out this servo. Servo's been doing pretty good, but I do have an upgraded one that's faster that I kind of want to try out. But this wire looks awfully long. I'm hoping there's an extension somewhere to the receiver box for this. There has to be. But we're going to look into that next. Look at changing the steering servo. We'll be right back. All right. Let's see if we can, I guess, get this steering servo changed out. Probably just take this off as well. Get all these screws cleaned out. Stuff is like a rock now. I think just these big screws. So I got to set up another pile. Might have to change this battery in my gun soon. Yep, it died. I think that's it. Oh, I gotta do the two front screws. These really are easy to work on. This should be a two-piece deal too. Rear. This one's got that side brace. Way over here, there's a brace. And then the whole rear diff comes off. Look at that triangulated brace. And then the dirt did stay out. Let's take a look at this ring gear. So I'm going to bring this to the camera because you can see the teeth. And all the teeth are perfect. No chunking of the teeth. Now we are going to add droop screws right in here. So that's going to be good. There's the rear diff. Look at that. Chassis has been doing great. No bends at all. Very impressive. So I think the next thing to do is to take out this whole battery tray deal, which is right here. So 1, 2, 3, 4 maybe. Oh, and one more. 5. So it has to come out. So it's got these hooks on the bottom, and it goes into here. Guess we take out the ESC maybe. Look at that fan anyway. Fan's doing good. Guess we'll try to take off that whole box. I don't think the screws go through. Oh, I gotta put that back in the receiver. That's the plug for the lights. Oh yeah, they did two-sided tape the whole ESC down. That's good, it's got a big cushion. But look at all the rocks that collected under it. So this is a long wire. Hopefully the new steering servo has a longer wire. I've never seen one that long before. I don't know if I have an extension. Into the receiver box. Well, we've torn this thing pretty much all the way down. Look at all that antenna that's in there. So, does this one have... Yep, it has the 2 steering. So it's 1 back. This receiver has 2 steering servo capability on the receiver. Look at the size of that wire. Now, when I got this one, I did look for one that had a really long wire, but I just don't think it's going to be that long. The Reefs one, I don't think is going to be that long. No way. Look how short that is. So we will need an extension. So I'm going to check my bag of goodies and see if I have a servo extension. If not, I'll have to make one. I'll make one using, well, I don't want to cut this one up because I like this the steering deal. But there we go. Get all the crud in there. So I'm going to get the chassis cleaned up, see if I can find a wire extension, start cleaning up some of these parts, clean up my workbench, and then we'll end up slapping this thing back together. So there you go, guys. Let's get this out of here. Look at all this rocks and everything that are just in the chassis. And that's after I shook it out and thought I got everything out. Look, rocks and stuff are getting stuck in this diff area. So we definitely got to get all that out. And then I'm going to probably throw a little grease there, a little grease there, add some grub screws. But that's going to end this. There's our chassis, as you can tell. Got the little winglet, the impact area right there. Nice and straight across again. It still has the same little kick up. And yeah, nothing else is bent. No bulges on the inside of the chassis. It's hammered underneath. You can see everything I hit, but it's as smooth as can be. Gear's doing good. Motor feels good. And yeah, got a stripped down bare chassis. We're going to get everything cleaned up. Then I'm going to reassemble everything. I'm going to check all the nuts and bolts. Get all the parts cleaned up. We already inspected the diff through the little hole. I do like that whole housing is covered and that it only has this little area. So if you do take a hit right there, you can cause diff damage. So, but it looks to be pretty stout. Definitely doesn't bend like an Arma, because an Arma chassis, when you have it like this, it literally flexes really easy. This one seems to be pretty stiff still. But there we go. Like, comment, subscribe. We'll catch you guys on my next video. Thanks for watching.